Hello. So, kind of wanted to give the group, I don't know, education or just learn a little bit more about our filters and how the hobby kind of came to be in just a short amount of time. So, anyways, back in the 1800s, they had figured out UV light, and then in 1852, George Stokes used the UV light and found out that fluorite was what he ended up calling fluorescence after the mineral. That's where we get our name fluorescence from. Was from 1852 when George Stokes found that the mineral was fluorescent. So that's how that came to be. Then 1904, a guy by the name of Woods came out with filter glass, and the filter glass was actually invented to be used in World War I. And what they used it for was signals. They found out that they can send signals to people, and actually for miles. So I don't even want to think about what they were using to drive these lights to make them that bright and put out that much UV. But they put the filters in front of them so that at night the enemy could not see the white light that was produced. Only the UV light came through, which then in turn the other people that were on their side would be able to look for with various instruments. So that's why they actually came up with these filters, was because of wartime, which is kind of interesting. So back in 1904, that's when these filters that we use today, that's what it came from. So anyways, getting on to using them in our lights. So lights, mineral lights actually go back a lot longer than I do. Back in 1965, Raytech, which is a company that produces UV lights, and actually when I went over to the University of Notre Dame, they came out with one of the Raytech lights, which to me is old technology, but they came out with one of those to look at my stones, and I said, oh no, let me use my lights, they're much more powerful, and they were. But the point being is Raytech has been in it a long time for minerals and everything, and they've been using the filters on their lights for a really long time, and they've had lights that you can use inside, plug into the wall, portable, take out into the field with you. They've had lights that had both spectrums in them, shortwave and long wave. You could use them at the same time, or one or just the other. But anyways, in 1965 they put out a nice little pamphlet book, and it was called The Story of Fluorescence. And even in that book, it states that all UV lights put out white light, and therefore must use a filter to block that white light. So this has been known about forever, as far as the UV mineral world. And I don't have education in nuclear science or anything like that. I'm just a normal guy, don't have a college degree. I just like to tinker with stuff. So when I read something that says, you know, that all UV source lights used for minerals has to have a filter in it, naturally that's going to be one of the first things I do when I'm going to make a light or whatever. I'm going to make sure I've got a filter that fits it and goes over it. Now LEDs came out, and you know, right away, people are thinking this is great. Hopefully this will, you know, further UV lighting. And it took quite a long time, and actually not till quite recently, within the decade, that they actually came out with any LEDs that we could actually even use in the hobby. And they've come a long ways really fast. So anyhow, you would still naturally think, well, you know, filters have been used in these lights forever. That's not going to change. Maybe someday there's going to be something that's better than LEDs that you don't need a filter in. I highly doubt it. It doesn't appear to me that, you know, UV lighting now in the medical industries is becoming important and stuff like that. They don't require filters for any of that stuff. The white light isn't a hindrance to them one bit. So I just don't see that ever evolving to a point where the filters are never going to be used. And just like I said, in 1965, they said that they were always going to have to be used, and that's still true to this day. There's still not a lighting source out there where you do not need to use a filter. Now, there was a light that came about a while back, and it was called a triple or something like that. It was made by Way Too Cool. And I actually got to witness one of these things, and it was like a little box, and it had a single bulb in it, real small, and then it had these little, it looked like pieces of paper, and you were supposed to slide these pieces of paper in front of this piece of glass, and it would actually change the spectrum of the light. And granted, they work, but you know, I had to hold it right above the rock. But anyways, we're not here to review lights. So anyways, there was a patent that was put on that, and it was a legitimate patent for that device. Well, apparently they tried to murky that up and pass it on to flashlights using these filters. I don't believe that one has to do with the other one bit. We've always known that these filters were needed to be used in lights, and that they will always need to be used. So there's legality going on right now because of that situation. And I just wanted to kind of explain in a easy way that these filters don't actually change the light that comes out of them. So what I've got here is a flashlight, doesn't have any filter in it, 365 nanometer UV LED in it. I'm gonna come around to the side over here to kind of show you guys this stuff. So let me take this one out of here. That's a piece of sphalerite, and this is the unfiltered light, and you can see how it kind of washes everything out. Here, let me turn these lights off too. Kind of washes everything out. Lots of white light in that. So now that's without a filter. This one has a ZBW2 filter in it. So you can see the difference with that filter without it. It lights up the same colors, but the white light washes out the green, and so you can't really see it that much. So we take the white light out of it, and more colors start showing up. So now what I did was, I've got these three lights down here. One's a mid-wave, one's a short-wave, one's a long-wave. Now, these all have ZW3 filters in them. And the only reason I'm doing that is to show you that the filter doesn't actually change anything as far as the spectrum that we're looking for. The main spectrum that comes through the LED, this is a 365 nanometer LED. And with most of the LEDs, there's like 5 points almost either way with the LED. So it could go up to 370 nanometers, could possibly go down to 360 nanometers, but mostly everything is above the 365 when it comes to LEDs. That's the one nice thing, is that they do produce a true range besides the white light. So this is with the ZBW3 filter. This one is with the ZWB2 filter. Slight difference. It is brighter and it does let out more UV. So now this one, same thing, has the same exact filter in it, is a 310 nanometer. So you can see that now we're bringing out different colors that don't get brought out with the long wave. So the filter is not having any effect whatsoever on the range that's coming from the LED. It does not change it. They all have the same filter in it. This one is under shortwave. You can see that this one's got a lot of willemite in it, so the shortwave shows that up a lot better. This Sphalerite's my favorite, actually. So that was just kind of a demonstration to show you that the same filter can be used in all 3 lights, and it doesn't change the spectrum that we're looking at and looking for. All it does is remove the white light that is included, that all light sources have, all UV light sources have. So anyways, I hope this kind of helped some of y'all that don't really maybe care too much about what the filters or why the filters do what they do, but it is important to know, and it is important to know why there's a lawsuit going on. And the other claim that's being made is that the filter is actually changing into IR, which what's being said is that it heats up the filter, the light that gets trapped. So filters don't actually change the color of the light. What they do is stop light from coming through certain spectrums. So what's being said is that that filter is stopping the light, and then as it's sitting inside the filter, it heats up and then causes IR radiation, which in a sense is light, but it's scattered light. It's not usable light. It's not directed light. It doesn't have a use. Basically a non-readable source of light to begin with meters or anything like that. So it's a completely non-usable thing, and patents do require that, you know, inventions have a use, that they have to be useful, and in that sense it's not useful. Now if maybe, you know, you wanted to make a claim that it's a heater, therefore nobody can have a heater like this, then he might have something, because it would be useful. I mean, these lights do get warm. I highly recommend using the mid-wave or the short wave for warmth in the wintertime, if that's what you're looking for. But anyways, I hope this wasn't too long. I tried to cut it really short and just kind of be basic to try to help people understand something about our filters and what's going on. So thank you much.